Hello everyone, it's Melinda here with CatSmashPuzzles, and today we are doing the first video of 3 on the World Series puzzles. I've been very excited to share these with you because the World Series happened from May 1st to the 2nd in 2026, and unfortunately I was not able to attend. And so I thankfully had a friend who went, Kinsey, and she let me borrow them all. She even wrapped them up in like Ravensburger bags so I didn't actually see the puzzle before I did it. And I really made the attempt to not actually see the puzzles before I did these. Unfortunately, I follow every speed puzzler you can think of on Instagram, and definitely all the ones who went started posting pictures and videos, and so I caught, glimpses of these puzzles here and there. I did my best. I did manage to actually not see the unboxed puzzles. That was the only one of the 6 puzzles that they did I did not see. But I did really do my best not to study the image. I glanced away from it as fast as I could when I knew it was a World Series puzzle. So I really tried to do my best as if I had never seen these puzzles before. But, it's really hard to do once it's out and about and people are talking about it. But yeah, so this took place roughly about a month after U.S. Nationals, and so I definitely didn't have the opportunity to go as much as I wanted to. But the World Series is a different competition than the World Championship that's usually held in Spain. This is actually a debuted competition that 2 ladies, Melissa and Louise, created, and this is basically to find the overall fastest puzzler. Because unlike Worlds or a lot of national competitions, it's simply solo only. So they only did 6 rounds for solo puzzlers only. There was no pairs, there was no teams, it was simply an individual competition. And unlike, Worlds and, U.S. Nationals, it was, anybody could sign up for it. And there was no disqualification, you didn't have to be a certain speed to do it. And, you weren't disqualified from any round. You were to do all 6 rounds, no matter what your speed was when you signed up. And I believe it was up to 340 people that could have signed up to do this. And I think 334 participated. So I think they had 6 slots that weren't filled in, or they didn't appear at the competition. And it was in Munich, Germany, so that was one of the main reasons I couldn't go. I didn't, unfortunately, have the time or budget to go to Europe within 6 months of each other. And I was still trying to get off the high of U.S. Nationals. So it would have been a lot of things to do in a course of 30 days, and I just didn't, unfortunately, have the opportunity. I think I found out about the World Series at Nationals, so it was within 30 days of actually the competition being held. So I really didn't have much knowledge of it. And I did start doing some research once it started happening, and then I realized, this might have been something for me to go to, or at least compete in next year. So that's kind of what I want to do with these puzzles, is see how I would have maybe done at the World Series, number 1. So it's kind of like a recap video of what I've done with the World Championship puzzles, and even prior U.S. National puzzles. So we're going to do 3 videos. The first video, this one, will be the round 1 and 2. The second video will be round 3 and 4, and then the third video will be round 5 and 6, and I'll tell you my total results at the end of it. But, yes, this was solo only, 6 puzzles, 6 rounds, and so all the puzzles here, with the exception of this one, which I'll talk about later, were the puzzles. I don't have the unboxed box. Kinsey kept it away from me, so I didn't actually see it. I do have the puzzle completed, and once I get to that round, you'll see a picture of it. But the rest of these are all competition puzzles from the World Series, and I'm very happy that Kinsey let me borrow them. And so I will go over each of these puzzles and what each of the rounds were to, I guess, test the puzzlers. So, first and second round is what we'll go over today, but I'll quickly do a brief recap of what the type of challenge it was for each of the rounds. So the first round here was a gradient challenge. The second round was a repetitions challenge. Third round was detailed. The fourth round was the unboxed, which I don't have up here. The fifth round was round, specifically Gibson's rounds. And then the sixth round was Gibson's panoramic. And then this puzzle is the speedrun puzzle that they offered at the end of the event. And again, I'll go over that, I think, in the last video, because it's kind of a quick thing to discuss. And so, those were all the types of challenges. And this is a World Series, so all countries were invited to come. So I really want to see where I kind of shape up in the world. Not all the fastest puzzlers attended, obviously, but a lot of the fastest European puzzlers did. So that really will tell me kind of where I shape up compared to them. I've kind of figured out where I stand in the US, and I'm pretty much in that top 15, top 20 pretty regularly. But I want to see where I kind of stand up with the European side. I am planning on doing EJJ puzzles very, very soon, either as individual, pairs, or now actually as a team event that I'll be attending as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and go through the World Series puzzles. I will start with round 1 and 2. And round 1 was a gradient puzzle. And this one is called Tropicana Sunset. And if you've seen some of my prior videos, gradients are not my strength. It is a lot of people's strengths, Christina's in particular, but it is not mine. And as a Ravensburger and a gradient, I figured this would probably be my worst showing because I'm not a Ravensburger expert and I'm not a gradient expert. I'm not bad. I'm not bad at it, but I'm just not really good at it. So I figured this would probably be my worst showing. And it's a pretty puzzle. I do like it. But that is kind of my prediction with this. I think I predicted to be... I think I was thinking about 45 minutes for this one. That was my prediction. Real quick, I did forget to mention that my time goals for all these puzzles. So, as I said, basically the end result is all 6 puzzles times are combined, and then whoever has the least amount of time is the winner of the World Series. So I set my goals, I looked at the times of the final results. My goal, the overall goal, was to be 5 hours or less for all 6 puzzles. Individually, I wanted all the 500-piece puzzles, which is rounds 1 through 5, to be under 45 minutes. So 45 minutes or less. And then that would leave an hour 10 for the panoramic, which is 636 pieces. So it is a larger piece count. Keep that in mind. And so that would get me to the 5-hour mark, which would have put me at, I think, 39th place. So basically in the top 40 out of 334, which is where I would have liked to be. So those are my time goals for all these puzzles. Alright, back to the descriptions of the rounds. I apologize, I forgot to mention that. So yes, that's the gradient puzzle. My goal, 45 minutes or less. And then we have the second puzzle here, which is the repetition puzzle. And it is buildings, which I kind of was excited to see. I figured it would be a little bit easier for me. I think I would do better with this one, ranking-wise, versus the gradient. It is a little blue, though, and when I saw it, I'm like, ugh, I might be under 45, but that one's going to be a bit of a tough one. Funny enough, the sky is actually kind of gradient, so I thought that was interesting. And then this one is called, I apologize, I'm going to butcher this, Chefchaouen, Morocco? I'll just say Morocco and move on from that. It's not the most repetitive puzzle, but, you know, this building here looks pretty difficult. But, the tile's a little bit repetitive, but it has kind of that angle to it. It's just a lot of blue, and I think that'll throw us off a little bit here. So those are the 2 puzzles I'm going to do with you first. So we got a gradient and a repetition Ravensburger 500-piece puzzles. So, let's smash it! with these two puzzles. So, round 1, I did Tropicana Sunset in 42 minutes and 59 seconds. And my ranking would have been 64th out of 334. So I'm not going to repeat 334 every time, so out of 334 is all the rounds moving forward. So 64th, not awful, not the best either, but I figured this would be my worst ranking because so many people are good at gradients, and honestly, it doesn't surprise me. My time's good, it's under 53 minutes by 1 second, so it's a low 40 time for a 500-piece puzzle, which is kind of where I've been landing. And, you know, it was a little bit difficult, but it wasn't too bad. And I really have started doing the border first, so I think that was helpful for me on this puzzle. The sun was a little bit difficult at times, but honestly, I think this area with the flamingo really threw me off for a brief moment. And then, of course, the dark pieces at the end, you kind of had to shape sort a little bit. But otherwise, you know, it was good. It was a very distinct gradient. It wasn't too difficult. I just didn't excel at it. So my results are not too surprising. But I stayed under my 45-minute goal. So that's good so far to work on my accumulative time of 5 hours. So, again, not too bad with that. So a couple stats from this round, I'll go ahead and describe them to you. I've got my handy-dandy notes here. So the top 2 were under 30 minutes. Top 14 were under 35, and the top 39 were under 40. And I'm going to kind of break these down each round because I do think it shows the importance for me to stay under 40 minutes. I want to set my goals properly, and I also want to kind of see if it is a realistic thing for me to actually be one of the top puzzlers in the world. But we'll get back to that in the last video when I get my accumulated time and how I did on the rest of these puzzles. So those were the results for round 1. I believe it wasn't Victor who won this one. I think it was Katiana, I believe, and she did it in like 28 minutes. So sub 30, excellent time, and I do think that that's going to be a very hard thing for me to try to achieve, is getting under 30 minutes. But again, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to get in that top group of puzzlers at the moment and just see where my strengths and weaknesses are. But again, my personal time goal was under 45 minutes, and we succeeded with that. So very happy with round 1. Now, moving on to round 2, where we have the buildings in Morocco. Again, I'm not butchering that city name, I apologize. But yeah, this one was definitely harder than the gradient. So I was surprised, because buildings are more my strength than gradient is, and I think it went well initially. And then I got stuck. I mean, the building to the right here kind of slowed me down. But ultimately, I think the blue in the bottom was even worse. Once I had that building left to go, it wasn't too bad. But I finished this in 49 minutes and 17 seconds. So now I have finished over 45 minutes on my next puzzle, which is not good. Now, I did have some buffer with this puzzle because I had about 2 minutes and 1 second to be over 45 minutes. So again, this is accumulation time. And so now I'm exceeding the 45-minute average for the 500 pieces. So this puzzle has now pulled me over my time goal, unfortunately. Still under 50 minutes, which isn't bad. And surprisingly, that got me 54th place. So I moved up about 9 places with a slower time, which tells you it was a harder puzzle. Now, stats for this round, the top 2 were under 35. So no one was under 30 minutes for this puzzle. Again, tells you it's a bit of a harder puzzle. The top 11 were under 40, and then the top 34 were under 45. So I do think that, again, being under that 40 would be in that top section. But again, everybody moves a bit slower when it's a harder puzzle. That's expected. So 42 minutes and 59 seconds for my first round, and 49 minutes and 17 seconds for my second. So I'm about a minute and 40 seconds over my goal at the moment with my accumulation time. Not awful, but we gotta cut some time out somewhere. So in the competition, they did rounds 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back, and then 4, 5, and 6. I did basically all 6 back to back to back in 3 days. I did rounds 1, 2, and then one day, 3, 4 the other day, and then 5, 6 on the third day. And I have to work, so I could only do it the way I could, especially the panoramic puzzle, because I was expecting that to take a bit of a minute. So that's how I did my puzzles. I didn't quite do it in the exact way the competition did it. I also probably had better lighting because from what I understand, the lighting wasn't the best in that venue. You know, that could actually cause you to be slower. And I watched some of the live streams. I also watched the recap from CandamPuzzles, and if you don't follow him, he's a great kind of in the know speed puzzler in Canada, and he kind of goes over these big events like this. He's great to watch. Go check him out. I'll have his channel link below as well. He does a good recap on it. I actually watched his video to kind of discuss the World Series with you a little bit. But yeah, so far, how do I feel about the two puzzles? I mean, I think the gradient was pretty good. I had no complaints about that one. The repetition one, it's a fine puzzle, and it's definitely a bit of a challenge, but I think it was not as repetition-ish as you probably would. I would think maybe more repetition would have been a little bit more of a challenge. But it wasn't awful. I didn't hate the puzzle. So far, good puzzles to do. Alrighty. So, we smashed one, didn't quite smash the other, so I'll call it a draw for the first 2 rounds. Alright. See y'all in the next video on the World Series where we go over the 3rd round, which was detailed, and the 4th round, which was the unboxed. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.